Now that Split 2 of the ranked season is underway, it's about time we update our list on the best champions to one trick for every single role. Sticking to one champion has been proven time and time again as the most effective way to climb ranked, so if you're unsure of who you want to one trick, we'll give you many options in today's video. As always with our one trick videos, the key pieces of criteria we follow to choose the champions include that they have ban rates below 10% and are currently strong picks in meta. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. One champion just buffed in 13.15 and now a really great one-trick option up in the top lane is Yone. Yone barely makes the cut for this video as his ban rate in the lower ranks hovers around 10%, but it actually drops off the higher rank you go. Due to the longer lane up in top lane, Yone can actually snowball much harder with the lead in top than he can in mid. With more room to work, you're able to chase down the enemy with E and get way more autos off than you can in mid lane, especially at level 6. If you can keep the wave on your side of the lane and take short trades around E cooldown to chunk the enemy out, you'll set yourself up for some really easy all-in plays. If you're looking to level up your wave control game, the Master Minutes course on our website will help you out a ton. The mobility Yone has from Q, E, and R makes it so that if you've got the enemy in lethal and they step up even just a tad too far, your ability to punish is better than any other top laner. If you can learn your matchups and understand the windows with Yone, he can be one of the most rewarding top laners to one trick. Build you'll want to run consists of rushing a Kraken Slayer, going Hullbreaker second, and Infinity Edge third. As for the rune page, it's lethal tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Run Second Wind and Unflinching for secondaries. One top lane champion who's absolutely feared in the hands of a one trick is Gangplank. With a ban rate around 4% and the champ being quite strong in meta, GP is in a perfect spot to one trick. He's not too OP though to where he's going to be nerfed anytime soon, which is exactly what we're looking for. As a champion who thrives the longer games last, you've really got to put the time into figuring out how to min-max Gangplank's laning phase. If you can consistently go even in lane or come out on top, you're going to end up more impactful than the enemy top laner if you can pilot GP well. Since learning matchups are important and the fact that mechanically GP is not all that easy, he's a really great champ to one trick. Being able to consistently pull off those multi-man barrels in team fights is arguably one of the most satisfying things in the entire game, as you can watch enemies' health bars absolutely melt. The core build for Gangplank is an Essence Reaver Rush into Quick Blade second and the Collector third. Pick up First Strike as the Keystone Rune with Magical Footwear, Futures Market, and Cosmic Insight. Best secondaries are Bone Plating and Overgrowth. Another top lane champ fresh off some buffs in 13.15 and a phenomenal champion to one trick is Camille. At the time of making this video, Camille's ban rate is only 3% despite her being who we think is one of the most OP top laners for the current meta. Very much like Yone, due to the crazy mobility in Camille's kit, you have the ability to punish mistakes better than most champions. This is why one-tricking Camille can be so rewarding, because if you can get to a point where you understand your openings in each matchup, then capitalizing on them becomes very easy. The fact the champion runs Ignite with Teleport opens up a whole nother mini game that you can play. Trading even with the enemy, then using Teleport to heal up, and coming back to lane with your Ignite ready can lead to so many solo kills. Build for Camille is very game dependent, as Divine Sunderer is great into tankier matchups, while Trinity Force is optimal into squishies. Ravenous Hydra is pretty much always the best second purchase, while Starrick's Gauge is a great third pickup. Rune Page is Grasp with Shield Bash, Second Wind, and Unflinching. Roll with Magical Footwear and Biscuits for secondaries. One of the best junglers in the game right now when in the hands of one trick is Graves. Despite his powerful spot in meta, ban rate of Graves is just 6%. There's two very strong ways to play Graves right now, which makes him super versatile. Into squishier comps, you can run a full-out lethality setup with Ghostblade and Collector as the core pickups. Against more bruiser or tanks, going for a Trinity Force into Black Cleaver setup works absolutely amazing. Graves is such a great champ to one trick because if piloted well, his consistent DPS output is incredibly high. You've really got to learn your limits on the champion though, as he needs to be up close to be effective, and you can be quite vulnerable if you don't choose your openings correctly. To fast track your ability to succeed on Graves, we have a Master in Minutes course for the champion that can be found at our website. The optimal rune page for Graves is Fleet Footwork with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Run Free Boots and Futures Market for secondaries. If you want to one-trick a jungler who looks to put a heavy emphasis on ganking, then look no further than Zac. Ban rate of Zac is sitting at just 3% right now. Once you get 3 points into your E, the gank power of Zac is some of the best for any jungler. Due to the long range of the spell, you can pull off ganks from angles that give the enemy very little counterplay. If you can play around a lane that provides some strong gank setup, it makes Zac ganks extremely powerful. powerful. You start charging your E, ping your teammate to go in, and then when they have the enemy CC'd, you fly in and lock them down. You got a few different options for the build on Zac. Sunfire Rush into Radiant Virtue 2nd and Demonic Embrace 3rd is a really good solo carry setup. If you're the one with the early kills and need to be the main carry, look to go this build. Vice versa, if your team is super far ahead and you just need to provide that engage and utility for them, going Even Shroud is a great play. Aftershock is always the best keystone rune with Font of Life, Conditioning, and Revitalize. Run Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. Back in a really great spot for solo queue and now one of the best junglers to one-trick is Diana. Diana was just buffed for 13.14 and has seen a nice spike in power while her ban rate remains very low at just 3%. For the most part, Diana is a relatively easy champion to pick up on the mechanical side of things. It's the two different ways you can play her that will take a bit of time to learn. To really get the most out of Diana, learning both of her builds and being able to adapt to each game is key. You've got the full-out one-shot setup with Rocket Belt and Shadow Flame that can work amazing into squishy comps. On the flip side, the more consistent dueling builds of Nashers and Jock Show feels completely different and almost like you're playing two different champions depending on which build you choose. For the rune page, grab Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Freeboots and Cosmic Insight are the way to go for secondaries. Suddenly, one of the best mid-lane champs that you can one-trick for solo queue is Taliyah. The 13.15 buffs have pushed her into an incredibly powerful state, and with a ban rate of under 1%, you never have to worry about not being able to lock her in. Taliyah is a more difficult champion on the micro and macro side of things. Every ability being a skill shot, combined with the fact that she has great roam power and a semi-global presence from R, puts a lot on your plate to focus on. This is what makes Taliyah so rewarding once mastered though, as she can be such a high impact mid laner due to the shove and roam power. The build for Taliyah is a Luden's or Liandry's Rush into Archangel 2nd and Shadow Flame 3rd. Luden's is best into squishier comps, while Liandry's is going to be optimal into more bruisers or tanks. Rune Page is first strike with Magical Footwear, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Best secondaries include Mana Flow and Transcendence. A mid lane champion with not as steep a learning curve as Taliyah, and our second one-trick selection is Lissandra. Liss is back in business due to her recent buffs and is holding a ban rate of 6%, so very accessible for solo queue. The value of one-tricking Lissandra for solo queue is extremely high due to her ability to absolutely dismantle many of the melee mids. The point-and-click route from W and R make the lives of these dive champions completely miserable. Pick up your free wins in the melee matchups, go even against ranged champs, and over time, you're going to see lots of consistent success on Liss. If you're going to pick up Lissandra, then definitely check out the new full game commentary from our challenger mid Shori that is on our website. There are two different builds you can run on Lissandra right now, as Luden's and Everfrost are viable mythics. Into lots of squishy dive champs, you can just go Luden's to one-shot them, while Everfrost is really strong into less mobile bruisers. The rune page is Electrocute with Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter, followed by Mana Flow and Transcendence for secondaries. Now that it's been a few patches since the Neeko mini rework, she's in a much better spot to one-trick. Ban rate has fallen to around 6%, which is pretty crazy considering it was up over 30% just a few patches ago. The champ really isn't much weaker either. She just got a small nerf, but we still rate Neeko as a very strong S-tier champion for solo queue. Being able to utilize Neeko's passive optimally is how you're really going to pile up the wins on the champ. Playing with Neeko a bunch in solo queue, you'd actually be surprised how many players just don't look for catch plays while being disguised as a minion. Especially in the mid to late game, when the enemy ADC is looking to acquire mid priority. Finding and catching them is lights out a lot of the time. Neeko's always played quite well into most melee mids due to her strong self-peel, and she's got a 54% win rate against Neferi right now, which is something most champs can't say. This always bodes well for a consistent solo queue performer because melee mids are usually the most popular. Builds you should run on Neeko is a Rocket Belt Rush into Shadow Flame 2nd and Rabadon's or Zanya's 3rd. Comet is the keystone rune with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. Optimal secondaries are Biscuits and Cosmic Insight. Considering her current strength in meta, it's actually pretty crazy that Ashe makes the cut for this video. Being the strongest ADC for solo queue, Ashe has a ban rate of around 8%. Ashe has the ability to exert a lot of pressure early in lane due to her poke from W and longer ranged autos. By one-tricking Ashe, if you can learn your matchups and take advantage of this laning power, you can come out of lane with the lead more often than not. The fact that Ashe isn't all that difficult mechanically means that you can pick her up and start seeing success pretty quickly. If you don't want to spend a crazy amount of time to master an ADC, then Ashe is a really great option. The core build for Ashe, providing her with a lot of strength, is a Kraken Slayer Rush into Trinity Force 2nd and Hurricane 3rd. Rune page consists of Lethal Tempo with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Run Biscuits and Approach Velocity for secondaries. A champion who has shot up in popularity as a bot lane carry over the past patch and is an amazing one-trick option is Ziggs. Ban rate is quite literally non-existent for Ziggs, as it's sitting at 0.2%. We've been seeing Ziggs pulled out in the pro scene as an answer to Xayah, and he's also great into meta champs who lack low cooldown gap closers like Ashe, Kai'Sa, and Misfortune. champion. With Kai'Sa being the most played ADC in the game, Ziggs can really punish her at Lost Chapter purchase. You can start shoving waves in under tower, poke away at the Kai'Sa as she's trying to last hit, and easily take a bunch of tower plates. Being a champ who is skill shot reliant, it makes it very worthwhile to put a good amount of games in on Ziggs, and one-tricking him is a great way to do that. The build for Ziggs is a Liandry's Rush into Archangel 2nd and Shadowflame 3rd, grab Comet for the Keystone rune with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. The best secondary page is Magical Footwear and Biscuits. Miss Fortune may not be the most flashy champion mechanically, but her power in meta is amazing, which makes her great to one-trick. Practically nobody is banning MF right now, as her ban rate is just 3%. Can't really go wrong with one-tricking Miss Fortune in this current meta, where we are seeing so many melee supports spammed. Enchanters like Lulu, Yuumi, and Melio have fallen off a cliff power-wise, and their play rates have plummeted too. As a result, champs like Thresh, Nautilus, Rel, and Blitzcrank are being played so much more, and work amazing in tandem with Miss Fortune. With MF, all you gotta do is be ready to follow up on your team's engage, unleash that ultimate on the CC target, and your job is done. Our damage is insanely high right now too, with the meta build for MF being lethality. It's a Ghostblade Rush into the Collector 2nd and Cyrilda's Grudge 3rd. First Strike is the best Keystone rune with Free Boots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Roll with Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for secondaries. One of the best pure carry supports for solo queue and our first one-trick selection for the role is Zyra. Ban rate varies quite a bit depending on the rank, with it being 7% in Bronze and only 2% in Diamond and above. An average for all ranks combined puts it at 5%. If you can play good Zyra, her carry power is hard for any support to match right now, especially with ADCs like Ashe, MF, and Kai'Sa in meta who have the ability to follow up from range on your pick plays. It makes the champ even better. You don't have to rely as much on your ADC either, which is a huge perk to Zyra. At level 6, you can effortlessly chunk at least 75% of Squishy's health bars, so you can make it super easy on your ADC to finish off kills. Once you got Liandry's, the damage spike is really nice, and on Rylai's completion is where everything comes together. Comet is going to be the best Keystone rune with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. Taste of Blood and Relentless Hunter are the best secondaries. When it comes down to one-tricking and engaged support, there's really nobody more rewarding than Rakan. The catch and teamfight power of the champion is absolutely insane, and his skill ceiling is a bit higher than most other engaged supports, which makes him really great to spend the time on. Couple this with the fact Rakan is just one of the best supports in meta, while his ban rate is just 5%, and you got a phenomenal one-trick champ. A lot of the time in solo queue, games are won or lost off one player mispositioning and being caught out. A Rakan with Flash and R is the best support in the game at capitalizing on enemies' positional errors. At the same time though, there's a fine line between finding a catch and diving in way too aggressively. You gotta be able to assess the situation very quickly and think about whether your team can actually follow up on your engage. So many new Rakan players will think they've found a catch play, but then their team is nowhere near, so it's just a wasted engage. The more time you spend on Rakan, the easier it will be to spot your openings, and once you can do that consistently, he's a monster of a carry. Build to run is a Shurelya's Rush into Zeke 2nd and Knight's Vow 3rd. Grab Guardian for the Keystone rune with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Zombie Ward and Relentless Hunter are the best secondaries. Another engaged support who is infinitely better in the hands of a one-trick is Alistar. Champ has made his way back into a great spot in the support meta while holding a ban rate of just 2%. What makes Alistar so unique compared to many other engaged supports is how lethal his dive power is post 6. With ultimate running and aftershock proc, you can soak so much tower damage, and it makes these dive plays extremely reliable. What will take some time to learn though is just how aggressive you can actually be, and getting to a point where you can execute dive plays while coming out net positive after the fact. With the ability to engage or peel, you've also got to be able to adapt well to the flow of each game. Sometimes it's going to be optimal to sit back and just peel for your ADC, while other times diving the backline will be the best option. The only way to learn which is best is by playing a bunch of games and going through all sorts of scenarios, so in that regard, one-tricking Alistar is the best way to do so. Standard build for the cow is an Even Shroud Rush into Zeke 2nd and Knight's Vow 3rd. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank-up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent Challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So that's going to wrap up everything for the best one-trick champions. Thanks for watching, everyone. Good luck in solo queue, and we'll see you in the next one.